What is up, everybody? Alex from WMD here, back at you again, and this time we're going to talk about Orion. Orion is a 4 HP analog phaser module. It goes mono to mono just fine, mono to stereo as well, so you can add some stereo width to whatever sound you're running through it. Voltage control over resonance, the overall frequency of the phaser, as well as depth control. So yeah, let's just dive into it. I'm going to show you what a phaser does. We're going to use it with some noise. Look at it on a spectrum analyzer. Then we're going to listen to it with a analog oscillator, and then we'll listen to it with a few sounds from the black box. So here we go. First things first, we're just going to throw some noise through it and listen to what it does. So right now it's bypass. That's another cool feature that it has. So this is just analog white noise coming out of the mod box here. And then when I turn on the phaser, we're in 4-pole mode, you're going to see 2 dips on the spectrum analyzer. So now we can move those dips around. Basically, we're cutting out 2 separate frequency spots. And then we have an internal LFO that can move this around for us. Then with resonance, we start adding resonance on the edge of those peaks. And it adds a whole different sound to it. Gives it a little bit more of like a quacky, spacey kind of sound. So again, that's 4 poles, so that's just 2 dips. 4 stages, I mean, that's 2 dips. We're gonna go to 6. Now you'll see 3 dips. And now when we move to 8, you're going to get 4. So when we do the 4-pole, that's like your classic sound. And then this is a little bit more of a lush kind of sound. When you move that around, when you move that frequency around, that's where all the magic is. So listen to it when we have the 8 on. You can kind of hear them trailing each other. When we go to 4, very similar sound, but just a little bit different of character. So that's why you would switch between them. Yet again, we have the bypass, super nice, so you can just turn that off if you aren't wanting to use it at that time. Another cool feature is we have switchable mono to stereo, so you can turn that on or off, and then a switchable wave folder as well on the output, so it gives some cool distortion tones as well. So never can have too much wave folding at WMD, apparently. So we're going to bypass it. Now we're going to listen to this Legion right here. So this is analog waveform. We've got this saw wave coming out. We've got a few windows on it just to give it a little bit more high frequency content. And now we're going to turn on the phaser. First I'm going to manually sweep. We'll leave it like right around there. We'll turn up the depth now. Now we have an internal LFO moving the phaser for us. Turn up resonance. And then a real cool thing about this is we can actually use the CV input for the frequency separately of the LFO, internal LFO. So I'm going to make that one a little bit more subtle, but we'll make it quick like that. Now we'll take a big long sweep with the mod box going into frequency. So that's pretty cool. So now let's make it stereo. So we're going to listen to it. I'm going to make sure we have stereo off so I can turn it on while we're listening to it. Basically, we're going to listen to it here. There we go. That's the mono version. Now when I hold this button, we'll turn on stereo. And now you can immediately kind of hear it just get wider. Kind of cool. We're going to take out this other LFO now. Just listen to it by itself. Let's go to 6 stages. And like I said, the magic's in a phaser moving, but slow, tends to be where it's at. Here's 8. Okay, real quick, I'm going to go sine wave. Then I'm going to add this wave folder. And we do that just by tapping this button. Let's hear it with a triangle. Let's hear it with a saw. Let's turn it off. Just a little bit more bite there, a little bit more grit. All right, so for this next example, we're going to use the black box. We're going to use some chord tones, some drum tones, and some program material just to kind of see what this would do to a little bit more complex of a sound. So here we go. Here's our nice little chord sample. I'm going to turn stereo off, wave folder off, go to 4. Now let's turn it on. Check it out with stereo. Let's go to 6, 6 stages. A little bit more resonance. Let's go to 8. And let's turn this wave folder on. I'm going to turn it down because it might get a little loud. Yeah. So that wave folder might get a little intense when it comes to chords, but man, it sounds so cool, just like kind of just falling apart, you know, just nice distortion. Okay, so here is the next chord sample. Turn it off real quick. Go to 4. This one's a little bit more attacky, right? So here we go, turn it on. There's that wave folder, turn it off. A little bit more subtle with the LFO here. Turn it off. This is bypass. Back on. Stereo. So yeah, phase are just awesome to add movement to something, especially in the stereo space. All right, let's try the next one. So here's nothing, bypassed. Here's it back on. Got the stereo on. I'm gonna go to 6. And then yeah, if you wanna find like your frequency of like where you should be going around, like the frequency here is like the center of the LFO, right? So the LFO is gonna be going around this. So if you wanna find a nice frequency, good way to do that is just turn the resonance up, turn the rate and resonance up, depth up a little bit, and then go turn your frequency knob and really figure out like where it affects it the most, right? So for us, this one, like right in the middle. Then we just back off that rate. So cool. All right, one more. So nothing. Turn off stereo. Stereo back on, or sorry, phaser back on. Go to 8. Stereo back on. Wave folder. Fun stuff. Okay, next one. I think we got some drums. Turn it off. Stereo off. Go to 4. Now, here we go. Classic. Go to the next one. Let's go to 8 pulls, or 8 stages here. Real intense. Let's hear what the wave folder sounds like on drums. Stereo. Woo! All right, next drum beat. All right, this one's a little bit more ambient, kind of weird. This is just some shakers. We're gonna turn off that wave folder there. Turn up a bunch of resonance here. That's gonna get a little loud. Let's go stereo. There you go. Kind of fun. Here's another drum machine. We'll add a house beat on top of that. See if we can. Now let's hear this with that chord. Go to 6. Yeah. Now let's hear what this bad boy sounds like with a break. I'm going to add some stepped voltages from Volterra. Obviously, it is not going to be clocked. Let's just hear what it sounds like into Freak. That'd sound way cooler if it was clocked, wouldn't it? Let's just do it, because we can. Let's do it, because we can, yeah. Clock out. Where are you? There you are. Clock in. Where are you? All right, we're just going to have to give it a second here. Ooh, what is that? I put it in the input, not in the clock input. So that's what that sounds like, in case you were wondering. Okay, here we go. Ooh, fast. There we go. With that step voltage in time. Oh, this beat is hilarious. Oh man, I love just grabbing random breaks and seeing what happens. Anyways, there it is. There's the black box. There's a ton of examples. I'm going to do another video using more synth samples and stuff like that. I won't talk the whole time, so keep a lookout for that. There is one more thing I wanted to show, though, with this. It's kind of a fun patch, so I'm just going to try and make this quick. This is a little bit more of an experimental patch, a little bit more of an experimental thing, but I think it's fun to do, and it just sounds so cool that I think that it's worth doing. I just think that it's worth showing. So we're going to do it. So I'm going to grab some cables real quick. It's just going to take me a second to get some shorties. Get a nice little collection of short cables over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make like a, just kind of a additional overtone to our oscillator. This is a technique that I found out from some sound design tutorials on how to make like engine sounds for video games. I thought that was really interesting, so I started looking it up. And the person that I was watching uses Massive to create this, and they use a comb filter, which is relatively similar to a phaser. So I decided to see if I could do this technique, and it is kind of fun, so I figured I would just do it. All right, so we have our Legion here, and obviously the filter's the phaser's doing its own thing right now. We're gonna use this to create a weird overtone, and then we'll just give it a tiny bit of wobble. Like, yeah, like something like that. Ooh, and even there, it's kind of in tune, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a voltage out, a Volterra, and I'm just gonna use it like an offset. We're just gonna hit the button and move the knob. And we're gonna change the volt per octave of both, or volt per octave and frequency center together. This isn't necessarily volt per octave calibrated, right? We're gonna move them both together. Kind of fun, kind of a cool sound. Just to give you that overtone. And it's fun to have them follow. We can do like something like this. Gives you just like a nice little overtone. So it can follow pretty well. I'm not going to say it's volt per octave, but just kind of a fun thing to do. And then another thing we can do is as we turn that up, we can turn up the depth of our LFO, right? So I just multed the Volterra out into the depth input. Right? So then what we'll do is we will add this LFO. We'll take this LFO, we'll go through a VCA before we go into the Legion. Go into Legion's exponential. And then again, we'll use another stackable because this is what this patch is all about. Out of Volterra into the VCA amount. So now, as we turn this up, we're getting more wobble on the Legion. And then just because we can, we're going to do one more stackable. And we're going to run this bad boy into the speed of Modbox, which I think is right there. Now as we turn this up, it's just crazy. Anyways, fun patch, cool overtones, super fun module. Hope it gives you some ideas of how you might use this in your own case. It's Orion. It'll be out soon. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all next time. Peace.